Hey mama, have you ever wondered why you're always off budget and can never seem to get back on budget? Well, you are in luck. This week, as I take you through my budget of the month of June, I realize that it's time to update my budget. You get to see the things that I planned, how they didn't exactly plan out the way I wanted them to, and what the ultimate decision was that made me realize it was time to update my budget. There is a big difference between being off budget and needing to rework your categories, and that is exactly what you are going to learn today. So go grab that stroller, plug in those headphones, and let's get to it. Do you find it hard to save or get out of debt? Are you constantly searching for ways to save money and live on a budget? Do you have big dreams only to be stopped by not sticking to your budget? Are you ready for financial freedom? Then you, mama, are in the right place. Welcome to the One Income Family Podcast, where you will learn what it looks like to budget on one income, how to partner with God in your finances, how to budget in a way that's easy to stick to, and how to cut costs and save money, all so that you can start building wealth. It is my mission to equip you with these tools so that you can live in abundance regardless of the amount in your account. Hey, I'm Molly, a budget coach for stay-at-home moms, and I know what it's like to struggle on one income. I've lived paycheck to paycheck, relied on being frugal, and failed many budgets until I learned how to budget without tracking. This has allowed my family to pay off debt and build wealth all on one income. So, if you are ready for financial freedom, then go grab that stroller, plug in those headphones, and let's get to it. I know what it's like to not be able to stick to your budget. The frustration, the disappointment, the feelings that you're a failure. The shame that encompasses you because you think you should be able to do this, and when you fail yet again to stick to your budget, it's crushing. You want to give up on the budget, to throw it out the window. You want to go back to when you had more money and budgeting was easy. When you didn't have to wonder if you had the money or not. Mama, that dream can come true. You can live on one income and have a budget that you can stick to. Fear, frustration, disappointment, failure, and shame do not have to define your ability to manage your money confidently. I want you to say yes to you. To say that today is the day that you are going to release the fear and the shame of not being able to stick to your budget. I want you to go right now to calendly.com/Molly Bunnell and book your call, because we are going to walk through this together. I am going to hold your hand, and together we are going to overcome the fear so that you can budget confidently. All you have to do is go to calendly.com/Molly Bunnell. That's calendly.com/Molly with a Y, B as in boy, ENELL. Are you ready? Let's get it. Alrighty, so this month, I just feel like this year has just been really wonky for me. Like, we've had lots of sicknesses going on. We've had lots of unexpected things happening this year, and it's just really been messing with me per se. I guess you can say I've kind of been living in survival mode. It's been, pretty difficult this past couple months, just because every single month we seem to have some sort of sickness that we are dealing with, be it the flu or a cold or a stomach bug. Like, my daughter just got over a stomach bug that she got at the beginning of this week, which normally I record these episodes on a Monday. Well, that didn't really happen because my daughter was, throwing up and having diarrhea, and it was not fun. So I'm like, seriously, why is this happening? But regardless, that's just life, right? You never know what's going to happen. But then in relation to all of that sickness that's been happening and all of these unexpected things popping up out of the blue when I know that that's what you should expect is the unexpected in finances, right? That's why I have all these safety measures set in place to not, put me in a place where my finances can't handle the stress, right? But it still can throw a wrench in some of the things that you plan, or if you make a plan and then things happen and then it just doesn't go the way you plan it, right? For instance, this month, I knew that there were doctor bills that I needed to finish paying from, my previous visits with everything that's been going on. So I budgeted that in, but then other than that, I kind of forgot about what month I was in and what had happened the previous month. Because like I said, I've just been living in this survival mode and I haven't really been thinking very clearly. And that's why this whole, budget came to be, and how this episode of the title, knowing if I need to rework my categories or not, came to be, because I have literally just been going with the budget that I created. When did I create this? I don't remember. I have a recurring budget and I just kind of stick with it and I go with it. Well, this month has really opened my eyes to, well, maybe it's time to make some changes, to make some shifts so that it can be easier on the things that are going on. And we have made some changes. We now have kittens, and my dogs, even though we live out in the country, and my dog has lived here her entire life. I was born and raised in the house that we moved into, right? So I bought my dad's house, and I got my puppy when she was, a puppy, and I was just in college, so 10 years ago. And so what happened is she stayed here, she lived here, and then I got married and moved away, and she came with me into town. And that was for 3 years maybe that we lived in town, and then she came back to this place. So she knows this place, and all of a sudden she's running off to places and not coming back. And I'm going, what in the world is the shift? But because of that situation, we now have to put the dogs in a pen to keep them home so that they don't go running off, right? Well, because of that, my dog's not out hunting her own food, which is something that she usually does. And so I am changing from just a generic brand dog food to fill her up when she doesn't go kill something to eat, right? To something that's more nutritious and actually going to feed her body because she needs that food. And so that costs more, right? So I have kittens, I have to up my dog food amount, I have other things that are happening that I have not accounted for. And so I've been struggling to sit down and do this, and I realize that it's time, because I am throwing off all my other systems. I'm pulling money from places that I shouldn't be, and it's a headache, right? So that is telling me that it is time to rework my categories and to rework the amounts in there and to figure out what is the priority. Where does that money need to go? Where is it actually going to serve us best and actually achieve our priorities and our goals and our values, right? What is the best thing to do? So I know I kind of already went into what happened this month, but I'm going to finish telling you what happened this month because, like I said, it was kind of a crazy month. So what actually happened at the beginning of the month is we refinanced our car loan. And I can't say it was for financial purposes. It was mostly because I really was irritated with the bank that we were working with in order for this to pay for it. I would sit down to make a payment, a principal payment, because, I've told you this before, I am trying to pay this car loan off in 18 months. And so in order for that to happen, I need to be able to make a principal payment. Well, I wasn't able to easily make principal payments, and sometimes I would get a fee if I would do it a different way, and it just was a headache. So I'm like, okay, I need to refinance my car loan. I also know that we have a better credit score than what we had at the time. So I was like, well, we could probably get a better interest rate as well and maybe lower our payment. Well, that's exactly what happened, because we had some money saved up that we had been planning on putting towards the car, but we hadn't done that yet. So what we did was we contacted a local bank that I used to work for and I knew was going to be really good customer service. I knew how the bank app worked and I knew I'd be able to do what I wanted to easily without a headache. We contacted them. We got everything ran, found out that our credit score was going to be, I think it was 1% lower. I don't remember the exacts because, like I said, that wasn't exactly my goal. But the year length of the loan was going to be shorter because something about a rule with if it's over the age, if it's over like 5 years old or something like that, they can't do more than 5-year loans, which was totally fine, but it made the note go up higher for my monthly payment. And I'm like, well, I don't want that to happen. So instead of taking out what we exactly owe, we'll just throw this money at it, make the payment lower, continue to pay the same amount we've been paying, maybe add a little bit more. And that would be how we pay down the note quicker kind of thing, especially with now that we have to save up for a trip to New Jersey, which is another thing we are starting to plan for. And so that happened. We got that car note taken care of, got everything switched over, which was a headache. Like this bank was, it was just a headache. So definitely one note, when you go out to make a car purchase or a house purchase or whatever kind of purchase you're planning on making, definitely look into the bank. Look at ease of use. Look at whether or not they're going to let you pay the note off early, because sometimes they don't. Look at the type of interest you have, because sometimes the interest rates, well, not the rates themselves, but the interest, sometimes you have to pay a certain amount of it regardless of whether you're paying the note off early. Sometimes you have to pay all of it still. So you want to make sure that you're looking at the type of note that you are taking out to make sure that it is serving you best and to make sure that it is going to not throw you for a loop when you want to be able to pay it off early, but you can't because you're stuck in this funky type of note, right? So definitely kind of a side note there, make sure you look into the type of loan that you are taking out and look into the bank itself. Look at the ease of use and how well their customer service is, because if you're getting into a bank that is not very friendly and isn't very friendly to their customers, or ease of use is difficult, you're not going to want to stay there. And then you might find yourself doing what I did. I probably wouldn't have refinanced if I wouldn't have had these issues. Now, in the backside of it, by looking backwards, I do see that it did put me in a better financial position by refinancing. But at the same time, if I would have looked into that in the moment, things might not have been as difficult, right? So, side note there, make sure you pay attention. Okay, so then another thing that happened is, I don't remember if this happened this month or last month, but this month is the month that we started 100% putting into the budget the fact that we are planning a trip to New Jersey. My husband's grandmother, she's up there in age and it's her 80th birthday. So we want to make sure that we make it out there and that she gets to meet the girls one time at least. I mean, she's talked to them multiple times on the phone, right? But it's not the same as being in person. And it'd be really nice for her to be able to meet them and the girls to be able to meet her. So we are planning a trip to New Jersey, which is not going to be cheap because it's a 24-hour drive from where we live. We were planning on flying, but with my husband's ear the way it is and my sinuses the way they are from allergies, we just didn't really want to chance the pressure. Plus, it kind of costs a lot of money. The only thing is driving 24 hours with two girls under the age, 4 and 2. Yeah, wish me luck when that comes because we are planning that in September. and it's going to be a fun trip, right? Definitely be praying for me because I'm going to need all the prayers. But it's going to be fun. We've been wanting to go out there for a while. We just haven't had like the motivation per se. I don't want to say the finances because, yeah, finances were tighter in our past years than they are currently, but we still probably could have made it out there. It's just with young kids, you know what I'm talking about. Young kids and long drives or flights. It's a headache and a struggle, and yeah. But anyways, we have that planned, so I have to start putting that into the budget. So that means reworking my categories there, because some of the money we still want to be able to put towards the car. Some of the money we still want to be able to do fun things with and not only be putting it aside, but then we also have to know how much money needs to be going into travel, how much into food, how much into lodging. There's all this stuff that we have to take into consideration. And on the other side of it, this is kind of a surprise trip, so we don't want them to know that we're coming, right? So that is happening as well. Another thing that happened this month that I completely forgot about, but the previous month we had a heating and air conditioning issue again. We just bought this thing. Like, it's 3 years old. And, well, not quite. It'll be 3 years old in November. And we've had so many problems with it. And yet again, here we have the guy out to look at our heater once again. And I forget about the bill. So that ended up being a surprise when it came. And then I forgot to pay it. So that was fun, right? With all this chaos going on and my kitchen being torn apart because I'm in the middle of trying to paint, I kind of misplaced the bill. So that did get paid, but later than it should have. So, but it also didn't get added into the budget. So that was another fun thing about it because I had completely forgotten about it. So side note, make sure even in the chaos that you write down this stuff in your calendar so that you can plan for it, right? Your calendar is your best friend to know when things are happening and when bills are going to come. And if you did something that will cause a bill to come, definitely write it down so that you remember. And then, yeah, like I said, I haven't updated the budget for the dog food change, for the cats that we've got. I'm sure there's other things that I'm forgetting that have really made me go, okay, I need to update this budget, like kind of the grocery budget. But when I say the grocery budget, I should also let you know that my grocery budget isn't just groceries. It's also what I like to call consumable items. I forget where I heard that term, but I love it and I have ran with it ever since. But consumable items are the things that you buy when you go to the grocery store, like your toiletries and your cleaning products, those kind of things that you use on a regular basis that you know are coming. Your toilet paper, your toothpaste, your toothbrushes, your hand soap, your dishwasher soap, your laundry soap. All of that kind of stuff is what I consider consumable items. And I also have that in my grocery budget because when I was first budgeting and I had all that stuff separated out, it was a headache. Like, I'd go to the grocery store, I'd buy all the things on one at once, right? Instead of in multiple different times. And then I'd sit down and try to budget it. And I'd be like, well, what am I supposed to add all this stuff up and figure out the tax that came out of it, like the sales tax and all that kind of stuff, and then add it to that budget later on so that I can track it and know how much I'm spending in that area. And I'm just like, no, this is a headache. I'm just going to combine it all into one category, and that is going to be my saving grace so that I know what's coming up, like my lotions and my face washes and all that kind of stuff, my hair soap. I will be able to buy it at the same time as my groceries and not have to try to either buy them at two separate times so that I have one receipt for the consumable items and one receipt for groceries. No, I just combine them all together, and I suggest you do that as well. But things have kind of gotten off track a little bit, and I don't know if it's me just being like lazy in my grocery shopping, or if I'm just getting off rotation, because sometimes I do try to have things in rotation where the laundry soap and the hair soap and the lotion don't all come out at the same time, just keep them on rotation so it eases up the pressure on the grocery budget. But it's gotten a little off, and I need to sit down and really dig into what's going on there and why it's not working out. Yes, you can say it's because of rising prices and all that kind of stuff, but I really think it's more me probably being lazy and getting off track. And then that is also where I have my dog and cat food in there, so that is another reason why I need to re-look at it and see what's going on and why I just can't seem to stay on budget anymore, and just really identify, what is going on there. So, how did it affect my budget, right? How did all these things that happen affect my budget? I know I've already kind of touched on it, so I'm just going to quickly go through them, but things didn't go as planned, right? I had to pull money from other areas in order to accommodate for the not rising prices, but the extra things that I needed to get, the dog food, the cat food, the me being lazy, right? In my grocery budget, I had to figure out what was going on there. I pulled money to pay off my car notes. So now I need to go in and rework what money I have left in my savings accounts and figure out my tracking in those areas. I've definitely gotten a little lazy, if you can't tell, in my budgeting, simply because I've just been in that survival mode and it has not been a priority. But I want you to know that that's okay, because I still have my budget set up in a way that money goes where it needs to go. I can use it as I need to, and then changing it up and re-looking at things is not going to be difficult. But even though I'm getting lazy and kind of stagnant in my budgeting, as in the extra part of my budgeting, like keeping up and keeping track with where my savings is on all that kind of stuff, I am still safe because of my system that I have in place, because of my my digital envelopes. That's the word I'm looking for. They are keeping me from spending my bill money. They're keeping me from spending the gas money and all that kind of stuff that really keeps our house afloat, right? Now, when I take money out and use it for extra things, it's usually from a savings account. And so that's why I need to go in and rework that budget so that I am not putting money into the savings just to pull some back out, right? Because that can be a headache, and there are limits on how much you can pull out at a time, right? So I don't want to go over my limit and get penalized. And let me rephrase that. Not how much you can pull out at a time, but how many times you can pull out in a month. For instance, my bank allows me to pull out 12 times in a quarter, which going down to monthly, that means 3 pulls. I can transfer 3 times a month in a quarter. And so that is where I have to keep an eye on that. I don't want to be constantly pulling out and then get myself penalized. And so that, I'm kind of just repeating myself over and over again, but I really want you to understand that that is something that you need to keep an eye on, right? Okay. So my plans and the budget, they were not all in the same from all the changes that happened. And that is why I know that it's time to update my budget. I know that my budget, my money isn't the issue. It's the way I have it allocated out into each category. And it's time to go in, relook at everything, share it with my husband, ask him his thoughts, his opinions, really just dig into what our priorities are, where the money needs to go, and then get it done so that I'm no longer pulling money after putting it back into the savings, right? Okay, so what I learned this month is that I need to go through and rework the budget. I'm sure, like, if this is what your budget sounds like, then you too should probably go back through and relook at your budget, see what is going on, see why it's happening, and just really figure out what's going to work best for you and your family. Life is changing and the budget needs to as well. We had a car loan that I need to now go in and update in the budget section, or in the bill section of my budget. The grocery budget, it needs to rework. We need to budget for the trip. We need to budget for summer outings to be able to go camping, to go swimming, to do all of the things that we enjoy doing. Fishing. I'm not a big fisher, but my husband loves to fish, so I'm going to go fishing with him, right? And so that is what this budget has really opened my eyes to. Like, this month has told me that this is what needs to happen. I need to set time aside during the week at some point in time and get this hashed out, get it figured out, get it, to where it's actually going to breathe life into our family instead of making it more of a headache and trying to figure out things on the fly, because that is when you just go, well, I don't want to follow this budget anymore, and you kind of throw it out the window. With my system, you can't do that because it's already in place and you gotta roll with it, right? But that is why it's so great to have. With the digital cash envelope system that I teach, it helps you to be able to stay on budget, or at least keep you from spending in the important areas, right? And that is what is most important with your budget, especially living on one income. Your extra income that you have that doesn't have to go towards your important core areas in your budget, in your life, I should say, then you know that money is safe and that you aren't going to affect that part of it. The part that is going to be affected is your dreams, your desires, your goals that you're trying to reach, your financial goals, like if it's paying off bills, if it's going on vacation, if it's saving up for a new car, whatever that goal or dream or desire is, that is what's going to be affected in this area, and that's what we don't want to happen. So definitely, if you aren't certain about what digital cash envelope system is, check out last week's episode. I'll link it also in the show notes, but check that out because it's going to really open your eyes as to what it is that you can do to help you really flourish on one income. Also, check out my bill system. That system is going to help you keep from spending that bill money that you need to be able to pay for everything, right? And so that is what I'm going to leave you with today. If you would like more personal help, definitely reach out to me, shoot me an email, come join the Facebook group, whichever you prefer, and let's talk, let's connect, and let's get you sticking to your budget. You can also just go and grab yourself a free clarity call at calendly.com/Molly Bunnell. That's CALENDLY.com/Molly with a Y, B as in boy, ENELL. And book that free clarity call, and we will work together to figure out why you're struggling to stick to your budget. Or if you just want to talk about what, a digital cash envelope system would look like for your family, we can do that as well. Definitely just reach out, let me know, and let's connect. Let's get to know each other. So with that being said, I will see you all back here next week on another episode of the One Income Family Podcast. Friend, I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I pray that it inspired you into action. If so, would you take 30 seconds and share it with that friend who also lives on one income and wants to learn how to live abundantly on less? Also, please leave a quick review for the show. It lights me up to know this podcast is helping you, and it helps get the show out there to other mamas in need. All right, well, it's time to go play with the babies, so I will meet you back here on Tuesday for another episode. Peace and chicken grease, mama.